Peace, family. It's your brother, Marc Lamont Hill. Welcome to the Marc Lamont Hill official YouTube channel. A lot going on in the world, and we're here to talk about it. Drop in your location, drop in your name. Let me know what city, what state, what country you're writing in from, because we got a lot going on, and we want to know who we're talking to. It's so good to see my family from around the world. Also, while you're here, hit that like button. Hit that like button so we understand that you love the content. And that's not just for me, it's so that YouTube knows and the algorithms out there know to expand the reach of the content, y'all. Today is day 107. Today is day 107 of Israel's war on Gaza. This is a war not on Palestine or against Palestine, excuse me. It's not a war against Hamas. It's not a war against terrorism. It's a war on Gaza. It's not a war in Gaza. It's a war on Gaza. We see over the last 107 days, unprecedented levels of devastation and destruction in Gaza. And at some point, we have to recognize this for what it is. The problem is corporate media doesn't cover it. Corporate media is not telling the whole story. Mainstream media has stopped covering it all sometimes. They're on the Trump extravaganza here in the United States. They're worried about the horse races of the Republican primaries. They're not worried about this story. And to the extent that they covered this story, it's all about Hamas and terrorism. Well, what we're here to do is keep a spotlight on the human cost, keep a spot on the real diplomatic developments, to keep a spotlight on all of the events that happen on a day-to-day basis. And so as long as there is a war on Gaza, I'm going to do everything I can, every day that I can, to cover it. So I want to thank y'all for watching this. I want to shout out some people here real fast as we get started. Ian from South Jersey. I love South Jersey folk. Adrique Hapoy, welcome from Long Island. I don't think I've addressed you before, but welcome. He's a channel member. Shout out to you. Of course, Ian from South Jersey at Rowan University, formerly known as Glassboro State, where my mama went. I love that. You know what I'm saying? Anastra, love you. Thank you for coming in from Cali. Renee, thank you for finally catching Alive. Wa alaikum assalam, Ebony, wa rahmatullah ta'ala wa barakatuh. Omega, appreciate you. Of course, Tennessee. So many people writing in, y'all. I appreciate all of y'all. Love all of y'all. Let's get started because I know we got a lot to cover today. Day 107, again, a very important day of developments that have happened. A video verified by Al Jazeera showed a fire broke out in Gaza's Jabalia refugee camp after an overnight Israeli attack. So fires are bad. Israeli attacks are awful. And when you add to the fact, that's stating the obvious, but when you add to the fact that the mechanisms for putting out fires right now aren't there because emergency health services aren't there, emergency civil services aren't there, emergency public services aren't there, in addition to destroyed roads and diminished resources, including water. When you add all that together, this is not a small thing. And Jabalia refugee camp has also been the site of so much violence, been the site of targeted Israeli air raids and strikes. It's been literally raided for its population of Palestinian men over 18. But we also see mothers, we see women, we see girls, we see children, boys and girls killed at the same time in Jabalia refugee camp, a place that should be seen as a site of safety. But instead, it's been mischaracterized, wrongfully and dishonestly characterized as a Hamas hangout. And because of that, they're using that to justify the force. Thousands of people rallied in Tel Aviv on Saturday, demanding the return of Hamas captives and also elections to replace Netanyahu. So you have people in Israel, Israeli citizens right now, who obviously want the return of their loved ones. Anybody who loves somebody, knows somebody who's been captured on any side of a political struggle, wants that person home. That makes sense. But what's underneath that is not just that they want their people home. It's that they're blaming the Israeli government for them being there. This isn't my opinion. This is what they're saying. They're saying Israeli policy got them here. They're saying sometimes it's a diplomatic and nationalistic commitment to saying we needed tighter security. How did Hamas breach the border? But in other ways, they're saying, y'all can negotiate a ceasefire. The bellicostic approach that you're taking to what's going on in Gaza is the reason why Hamas is approaching things the way they are, and it's the reason why our people aren't home. Let's get a ceasefire. Let's negotiate a hostage exchange. That's what a lot of people have said from the Israeli side now. And Netanyahu has been obstinately saying, hell no, we're not doing that. And as a result, they're now saying maybe we don't need Netanyahu. Now, that's not purely because of what's going on since October 7th. That's made things worse. But people were obviously calling for Netanyahu's removal before then, based on the drift rightward of the court. The rightward drift of the court has made that happen. Of course, there was some pushback when the Supreme Court kind of rejected the Israeli right Netanyahu's attempts to disempower the court. But for over a year now, almost a year now, we see considerable attempts to fight the Israeli government. Now, these fights aren't for a free Palestine. They're not a righteous struggle for liberation. It's just a right for liberal Zionists to have their democracy at the expense of Palestinian people. CARE, if you know CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, is urging an investigation into allegations by pro-Palestine students at Columbia University in New York that they were sprayed with a noxious, quote, chemical agent during their protest on Friday. I posted this on my Instagram page. For those of you who follow me on Instagram, you can see it there. They say that students were sprayed with some kind of chemical or some kind of agent, and that it was sprayed by other students, potentially who may be connected to the IDF, or what they call the IOF. You can check my page for the details. I'm not making the allegation. I don't know what happened at the Columbia protest, but I'm saying that's what the students are saying at Columbia, and CARE is jumping in the investigation as well. Tess Ingram, a communications specialist for UNICEF, called on the world to bring an immediate end to the, quote, warped version of normal in Gaza. In other words, now UNICEF is saying, look, we can't normalize genocide. We can't normalize drone strikes every day. We can't normalize air raids. We can't normalize destroying hospitals and schools, etc. Might be a big deal, might be a small deal, but what we know for sure is that more and more human rights organizations are doing this very thing, and that's speaking up and speaking out. Interesting development in Gaza in the south. Israeli forces dropped leaflets. They literally dropped leaflets on the ground, trying to encourage people to divulge, I guess that's the right word, to divulge the whereabouts of Israeli prisoners, Israeli hostages. That's what I'm looking for. They made a hard sell in their leaflets. The leaflets are like, hey, there's a lot of good stuff that'll happen to you if you tell. I'm reading one of them now. It's an interesting leaflet. It says, I'm gonna read it to you. It's loading, but one of them says, you want to return home? Please report if you identify one of them. Then there's a link. There's Arabic, the names in Arabic of the people who got captured. There's a website link, etc. Yeah, it's a fascinating story. I wish I could show you the link. But there, actually, you know what? I can. Here you go. I want you all to see it. Here we go. And you'll see why I'm showing you this. Here we go, family. Sorry, I wasn't expecting to show y'all nothing, so that's why I didn't have it loaded. But you can see it on Twitter. Here you go. Can you see it? Can y'all see it? Let me know if you can hit the like button if you can see it. You should be able to see it now. There we go. There we go. So when you pull this up, they're trying to incentivize people to snitch, right? So what you see here are, of course, the names of the people who have been captured. And again, I have no qualms about saying I want all hostages returned. I want all people returned. But you'll see the names of people here, and right here, it says تريد العودة إلى المنزل, right? Do you want to return home, right? يرجى الإبلاغ إذا شخصت أحد منهم, right? So what they're trying to do is basically tell people, look, you don't have to be in a refugee camp no more. You don't have to be stuck nowhere no more. We'll get you back home if you just tell where the people are. Now, there's a lot of trust that has to happen for that to be the case, right? They got to trust the Israeli government, Israeli forces, that they'll actually help them. But they also have to be realistic about whether that's even possible. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, they're trying to get their captives. They're trying to get Israeli hostages. And they're willing to do anything except the ceasefire. That's the thing that strikes me. They're willing to do anything except the ceasefire. Anyway, let's move on. In the past 24 hours, we have seen more violence, more harm, more death. The Israeli army has been accused, in fact, of committing several massacres against Palestinian families in the Gaza Strip, killing at least 165 people. My God. That moves the number of people dead, by the way, to over 25,000 now. And these numbers are from the Gaza Ministry of Health. Israeli shelling of the Jabalia refugee camp in Gaza on Saturday killed 4 Palestinians and injured 21 others. So we know the death numbers. The injury numbers are now well over 63 or 64,000 people injured. And on top of the more than 25,000 people who have been killed in Gaza. This is the problem. Another thing that's happening, and this goes to the regional issues that we've been talking about. Sana, which is Syrian state media, said that Israel has attacked a building in Damascus yesterday. Israel has not claimed responsibility for the attack or offered any comment. But this is not a good development. Let's keep talking about it. Iran's president, Ibrahim Raisi, promised to hit back at Israel following the air raid on Syria after it killed 5 members of the country's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. So you understand that the bombing in Damascus, the attacks from the Israeli government in Damascus are not to get Syrians, right? But they're aimed at the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. And if you start shooting at the Iranian soldiers, you say, well, why are they shooting at Iranian soldiers in Guard Corps? Well, because they are upset with Iran. They see Iran as a primary sponsor of Hezbollah. They see Iran as the primary trainer and weapons provider to Hamas. And so, again, this is the proxy war. This is the thing that we're most worried about. And I'm not the only one worried about it. But we'll talk about that in a second. One more attack. The United States military personnel targeted an attack on Iraq's Ain al-Assad air base on Saturday. It only caused minor injuries. But again, these attacks in the region are dangerous. Ain al-Assad is incredibly important. Saudi Arabia's prince, Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud, commented on this. He said that he's very worried about a, quote, difficult and dangerous time in the region. I know CNN is going to do a big story with this prince, but the fundamental issue for me, the thing that I'm thinking about, is exactly what he's thinking about, which is that, again, there's a call for ceasefire, a call for de-escalation, and the U.S. and Israel are engaging in choices and tactics that are only enraging and inflaming the tensions in the region. So that has to change. All right. Much more we could talk about, but I think I'm going to leave it there. Actually, let me say one more thing. The U.S. Office of Palestinian Affairs called for an urgent investigation into the killing of 17-year-old Palestinian American Tawfiq Ajak in the occupied West Bank. I think yesterday we talked about this. There was a 17-year-old American. We were told that it was a woman. It turns out that it is a man, Tawfiq Ajak. Also, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres reiterated on Sunday that, quote, the denial of the right to statehood for the Palestinian people is unacceptable. The right of the Palestinian people to build their own state must be recognized by all. The reason why the Secretary General is making that argument is because Benjamin Netanyahu has openly and unabashedly read the quiet parts out loud the last couple of days. He said that full Israeli security control is contrary to a Palestinian state. In other words, he's saying that we've learned from history, we've learned from other diplomatic efforts that we can't give Palestinians anything, because if they do, we're less safe. And we need full Israeli security control. How do we get it? By not allowing a Palestinian state. That's what he said out loud. He's always been doing it, but this time he said it out loud. And that is the problem. That is the crisis. Anyway, family, that's the update for today. I hope that was useful. I'll see you again tomorrow for day 108, unless there's a ceasefire, which inshallah there will be, but we're not optimistic. There's no evidence of that right now. In the meantime, continue to watch. Hit the like button if you like this kind of content. Hit the subscribe button so you can be part of our family. We always appreciate that. Hit the join button so that you can become a regular paying member of the MLH team and family. Only $3.99 a month will allow you to do that. And of course, if you want and you're so inclined, you can drop something directly into our Cash app. Just hit $MLHTV. Again, $MLHTV. And when you do that, you help us build the platform. You help us expand the voices. You allow us to deliver better content. And that's what we all want. So I appreciate you. I stand with you. I love you. And we'll talk again soon. Peace.